Life is beautiful, but life is also suffering. The world around us constantly reminds us of joy, wonder, and beauty, but beneath this lies an unshakable truth. In the teachings of the Buddha, suffering is at the very core of human existence. But what does it truly mean when Buddhism says life is suffering? We will explore this profound idea and why, rather than pessimism, it offers a path to liberation. Buddhism teaches that suffering, or dukkha, is an inevitable part of life. It's important to clarify what suffering means here. Dukkha doesn't only refer to physical pain or obvious hardships like illness, aging, or death. It's more subtle than that. It encompasses dissatisfaction, impermanence, and the fleeting nature of pleasure. Even in moments of happiness, there is an underlying anxiety, the knowledge that this moment won't last. We chase pleasure, wealth, success, and relationships. But every time we attain what we desire, we quickly realize that it doesn't bring us lasting fulfillment. The excitement of a new car fades. The joy of a promotion is short-lived. Relationships change, grow distant, or end. This is the first truth the Buddha shared after his enlightenment, the truth of suffering. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, was born into a life of luxury and comfort, sheltered from the harsh realities of the world. But when he ventured outside the palace walls, he was confronted by the reality of human suffering. He saw an old man, a sick person, and a corpse. These encounters shook him to his core, leading him to question the nature of existence. This realization sparked his spiritual journey, and after years of intense meditation, he reached enlightenment. Upon his enlightenment, the Buddha articulated the Four Noble Truths, the essence of his teachings. These truths are not abstract theories, but clear observations about the human condition. The first of these is the truth of suffering, that all life, in its impermanence and constant change, involves some form of dukkha. But the Buddha didn't stop there. The second noble truth explains the cause of this suffering, craving, or tanha. We suffer because we desire things to be different from how they are. We crave permanence in a world of constant change. We cling to the idea that external conditions will make us happy, whether it's material possessions, power, or emotional validation. This attachment to the impermanent leads us to endless cycles of disappointment. In the modern world, we experience this in so many ways. We seek out distractions, scrolling endlessly through social media, chasing likes, or buying new things hoping they will fill a void. But no matter how much we accumulate or achieve, true satisfaction eludes us. The more we cling, the deeper our suffering grows. The Buddha didn't leave us in despair. The third noble truth brings hope. There is a way to end suffering. If suffering arises from craving and attachment, then by letting go of our desires, we can free ourselves from the endless cycle of dissatisfaction. This state of liberation is known as nirvana, a profound peace and release from the bonds of craving. But how do we actually achieve this? This is where the fourth noble truth comes in, the path to the cessation of suffering, known as the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the Buddha's prescription for overcoming the causes of suffering and living a life of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. The Eightfold Path consists of 8 practices that work together to cultivate insight, morality, and mindfulness. It includes things like right understanding, right speech, and right mindfulness. These practices aren't dogmatic rules, they're guides to help us live a more conscious, compassionate, and enlightened life. At the core of these teachings is the understanding that suffering is not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be understood. When we become aware of our cravings and learn to detach from them, we find the roots of our suffering begin to wither. This doesn't mean abandoning joy or relationships, it means recognizing their impermanence and embracing them without clinging. Buddhism teaches us that life is a cycle of birth, aging, death, and rebirth, constantly grasping for what we desire and pushing away what we don't. But by following the Eightfold Path, we can break free from this cycle, finding not only the end of our own suffering, but a profound sense of peace and clarity. Ultimately, the Buddha's teachings on suffering are not meant to make us see life as bleak or hopeless. Rather, they shine a light on the reality that suffering exists and that there is a way to overcome it. By seeing life as it truly is, by understanding the impermanence of everything, we can live with greater freedom, compassion, and wisdom. Suffering is inevitable, but it doesn't have to dominate our lives. Buddhism teaches that through awareness, meditation, and compassion, we can transcend suffering. The truth is not that life is only suffering, but that understanding suffering opens the door to true freedom. It's a journey inward, a path to discovering the true nature of existence and finding peace in the midst of life's ever-changing currents.